Recording. Welcome to Total Health with Dr. Cheryl. Today I have a very special guest for you, and we're going to be talking about something very important. It's important to me, and it's a great lesson for everybody. I'd like for you to welcome with me Ashoka, who is a Bright Path Ashaya monk. She is coming from England, but she's living in Reno right now. And she has a very unusual and inspiring story. Welcome, Ashoka.
Thank you. Yes.
Now, Ashoka was diagnosed with carcinoid syndrome when she was 16. And this is a kind of cancer that is slow growing but persistent. Every year, or every time she went to see the doctor, she was told she had 5 years to live. How did that make you feel, Ashoka?
Well, I kind of didn't believe them. I was like, yeah, okay, well, if I have 5 years to live, it's going to be a great 5 years. And the sense of fear was there, but it was smaller than, yeah, let's see.
What was going on in your body at that time that your parents took you to the doctor to find out what was wrong?
So from the age of about 11, I had very odd symptoms of fainting, of my skin turning a different color, of my face and body swelling. Literally, my fingernails and my lips would go blue and black. And
Wow.
the rest of me would go white. So it was a very odd thing to look at. You know, I remember growing up or going out walking looking like that, or being at school and people would be kind of like, oh, what is that? You know,
and how did you feel in your body?
It would feel like I would feel faint, and it would feel like this blood rushing through the body, and I had no control over it, is how it would feel. And I would feel sort of embarrassed or ashamed of being so different to everybody else. Now, I remember hiding in the school toilets, waiting for it to pass.
Yeah, as a teenager, that is so vital. It's like how you're presenting to everybody, how you look, how you feel. At that time in life, it's all about your body image, isn't it?
It is, and that's the funny thing. It was like I just spent most of my time hiding and feeling embarrassed, but more than embarrassed, was ashamed that I was doing something wrong, that I wasn't like everybody else, and more, and it would upset the people around me, like, why are you doing this? And I'd be like, I don't know why this is happening. None of us knew at that point,
Yeah. And then you finally got diagnosed and you got some treatment, right?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I finally got diagnosed after doing tests in all the local hospitals, repeating the tests over and over because nobody could find anything, which was not the nicest experience. But then I got told that I needed to go to London, and they found it immediately. I was there less than a week, and they knew immediately what it was through a simple urine test, and better still, they knew somebody that could treat it.
Excellent.
Yeah. She came from America, and she knew all about it, and it was just like, oh, wonderful. I'm not. Maybe I'll get help with this thing. Yeah.
So how did you come to accept this illness? Because you kept living even though they kept telling you were going to die.
I still get that you shouldn't be alive thing. It's like I just go, okay, whatever. I mean, I wasn't treated any differently by the people around me. I wasn't treated like some invalid or somebody that was gonna have to have special kid gloves to be handled. I was treated normally, whatever that is. And I continued to play sports. I continued to be the captain of the rounders team. I continued to be the captain of the basketball team. We
So
won
you
a
were
cup.
living a full life at that point. You were giving it your all, right?
I mean, yeah, I was playing tennis. I was doing everything that other people were doing, you know. So I didn't really think about it too much unless the symptoms came on. And then it would be like, oh, here we go. Um, but up until, unless I had those symptoms, which were quite dramatic, I just lived a normal life. You know, I didn't think that there might be, that there should be another way I should be living. Why, you know?
And yet you weren't denying it, but you were seizing life for what it is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember the doctors, when I got out of hospital to go home when I was 16, gave my mom a necklace to say that I must wear it the whole time. Um, and that if anybody found me, you know, slumped on the floor, they must have this necklace. And I remember going home and going and throwing it away, going, that's not going to happen.
Wow.
Yeah, and then, you know, saying she must not leave the country because this is so rare, nobody will be able to deal with it. And I remember booking a flight to Switzerland and saying, oh, no, that's not the way I'm going to live. You know?
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's courageous, but it's about being in life rather than being in death, right? Rather than,
Yes, yeah. I mean, you know, I've always found life fascinating and amazing and exhilarating and just awesome, you know. I've never wanted to shy away from life.
mm-hmm. But you've
Um,
had some pretty dark times. You were telling me before about one time in Mexico. What happened
yeah.
then? What were your symptoms?
Well, I got sick pretty quickly. I'd been well for ages, and because of all the previous operations, the scar tissue knitted together, and my intestines blocked. Almost, you know,
Oh.
it was so quick that I just thought I had some kind of colic or period pain or something.
Mm.
Apparently, I have a strong threshold for pain, but I remember just thinking, it'll pass. And then when it didn't pass, I was like, this is not very nice. Um, Finally, I was like, oh, I better go and get checked out. Everyone was like, go to a doctor. And I was like, no, what do you need them for? And then I went, and then they said, you know, your intestines are blocked and you will need to get an operation to unblock them. And you have 50% chance of living or dying. And I
Wow.
remember laughing and saying, is he joking? Like, what's the matter with him? And everyone had a straight face and they were going, no, he's not joking. And I was like, ah, okay, Houston, we have a problem.
So you were laughing in death's face, weren't you? Because
Yes, you know, I was.
was there some sense of why you felt so strongly that, you know, life is here for you?
I've always felt that way. But actually, it was Ascension. I was using my attitudes and just being present. I was being present. And despite the pain in the body, despite what the doctors were telling me, I had this sense of beauty and sense of aliveness and sense of peace. And I came to a place where I was like, oh, they mean this. So, okay, so I might die. Well, then it's not in, any of this is not in my hands. You know, if I'm supposed to die, I'm sure it serves a purpose. I don't know what that is, but, you know, the source of all knowing knows what it is. And if I'm meant to live, well, great. So I was very surrendered to being absolutely okay with what was, what is. And despite the pain, there was a sense of joy. There was no suffering. The body was doing a funky dance, but I just felt so peaceful. I could almost say blissful.
That's
Yeah.
remarkable. And I can feel that groundedness and that peace from you right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it taught me something amazing, that suffering is optional, because you can dive into the suffering, which is basically the association of all the thoughts that I could have bought into, and all I could have fought against it. And instead I just went, okay, well, I'll just use my Ascension and meditate and just see what happens. And it just became the overwhelming experience. All of the other things just became so much less. I'm not saying they weren't there, they were.
Mm-hmm.
But there was no sense of fear. There literally was just peace. The doctors, even the surgeon, came and sat on my bed and said, "What's wrong with you?" And I remember saying, "I don't know what you mean." And he was like, "Why are you so peaceful?"
Mm.
And I said, "Actually, I'm using a technique that I was taught, and I honestly feel peaceful." I think the most disturbing thing of the hospital was watching other people suffer. I
Yeah.
didn't like that. I was like wanting to help others. And I could hear a child crying, and I wanted to go and say something to the child so that the child wasn't afraid. I remember that.
Uh-huh.
And I couldn't obviously get out and speak to this child. And also nobody spoke English. So that was a little like,
Where
I was
was
like,
this?
it was in Mexico.
Okay.
And, it was very minimal. I would say a poorer society. So people were laying on the floor rather than having beds.
Whoa.
And there was no covers. There was no pillows. There was just a kind of like hospital bed, but no padding on it. And I remember asking someone, "Can I have a pillow?"
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, "We don't speak English." And eventually they found me somebody English. I was like, "Please, can I have a pillow?" And then Ashayas had come to visit, so I just gave them a list of, could somebody get me a pillow? And a pillow appeared. Next time, could somebody get me a blanket? And a blanket appeared. And I remember having like drips in my arm, and I remember somebody came to speak to me to visit, and my lips had literally fallen off. I couldn't speak.
Whoa.
It had peeled off in dryness. So I had this like peeled lips, and I had to write what I was trying to say.
And you were still in peace.
I was in absolute peace. I was in
Yeah.
absolute peace. I was in bliss. I was in bliss, which shocked me. I didn't know that your body could do that, and yet you could be in so much peace.
Now, I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't believe that. Is there any more insight that you can give into what your experience was? Because you were feeling pain, right?
I was feeling pain, by which point I'd been given painkillers.
Okay.
But the most important thing was I wasn't listening to my mind.
Yes.
I'd made that decision not to listen to all those thoughts that would say to me, that would go through my mind, like, you realize you're going to die. You realize you're going to die in a hospital in a third world country, and someone's going to have to ship your body home,
Huh.
and your nieces are going to be upset, and you realize you're probably not going to wake up, and your time is done. I mean, you're on borrowed time anyway. You've had 9 lives. This is probably the 9th. All of those thoughts
Mm-hmm.
I just saw them, and honestly, they just didn't affect my experience of the silence.
And you had
I'm
been
not
practicing that, right? You had been in a discipline to learn what the silence is and then choose for that instead of the thoughts. It took some practice, didn't it?
Yes, thank God, because I think if I had listened to my thoughts, I probably would have died. I have a sense that if I'd given in to panic and fear, I may not have come through. I mean, this is in retrospect, but it's actually on retreat. So I was in a really great environment to experience the silence within. So I had been practicing it for a while. And so fortunately, I knew how to choose for that peace and that silence. And I knew enough at that point not to listen to the voices in my head.
Yeah.
And I remember going home, and my niece crawled into bed and said, "What was it like?" And firstly at the airport, I remember a lady going on and on about her toothache and me just laughing. I was sitting in a wheelchair and I had this big stitches down my stomach and I was just laughing. I was like, you're going to be okay. I don't even know why I was laughing. I was like, I'm alive.
Yeah.
You know, this is great. I hope your toothache goes away, you know, but I remember just getting home and like I said, my niece asked me, what was it like? And I said to her, it was a rebirth. It was kind of like if somebody had said to me, your body can be in pain and you can be facing life or death, but you can still be at peace. I would have said, no way. I would have said, no way. I'd rather not have learned that way. And I'd rather
Right.
not go through it again. But there was the surrender of, this is another thing you learn from meditation or ascension meditation is to be with what is, to be present with what is. Because if you're trying to change it or fight it or want it to be different, there's a struggle in that. If you can come to a place where you go, this is what's presented to me, this is what I'm dealing with.
Yes.
Then there's peace in that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a divine plan in that, kind of is how it feels to me, because I don't feel like that mysterious experience was a mistake. My name is the goddess of non-suffering, and I feel like
that's so huge to have that message,
huge?
because who thought it would be possible not to suffer? And you're saying you did not suffer, so therefore it's possible for other people not to suffer.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you've showed us how.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And in retrospect, yeah, even I wouldn't have believed it unless I'd probably experienced that. But
yeah,
there's absolutely no suffering, no matter what's going on the outside, if you're resting in silence now. Even being faced with life or death, even being in pain.
Wow.
Unless you buy into your thoughts around it. So yeah, it was a revelation to me.
That's a huge lesson. So thank you for experiencing that for us, so that maybe we don't have to, but
yes,
we can apply that to our lives. Any little bit of, stub your toe, toothache. I mean, that's nothing compared to what you were going through. And yet you did not suffer.
No, not one bit. Not one bit. Life is for living. I mean, it really is. You know, and no matter what labels we have or what's going on with our body, or even the cancer word that brings up so much fear in people, I see it, which is why I sometimes don't mention it, because people start acting very differently.
Mm-hmm.
But it means nothing. It's a word if you're willing to live your life full. It doesn't have to stop you. It's got nothing to do with who you are.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so what? I have this body that does these weird things, but it's not much to do with me, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's you who is watching this happening in the body, and it's you who is at peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the you that knows how to be at peace. It's the you that is eternal. It is the you that loves life. It is the you that is connected to everything.
Yes.
It's the real you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so life is so precious. You've showed us that. Yeah, that you can savor life, even going through these experiences, even living with your diagnosis.
Oh, absolutely. I would say that my life is full, that I do not feel a victim, that I love life. I appreciate every second I have. I know it comes and it goes. It goes so quickly. But that's why I think you've got to squeeze the juice out of everything.
Yeah. Well, you're such a shining example. Thank you for being on this interview with us today. You're such an inspiration. I have a deeper experience of the preciousness of life. If I was told that I would have been dead a long time ago, that is such a different perspective. And you have so much.
Sorry.
You have so much courage to come and be recorded talking about this, because I know you don't want to identify with your diagnosis, but by telling us about that, you have certainly opened my experience.
I'm so glad. Yeah, if it helps one person, then I'm happy. to talk about it. I mean, I don't mind talking about it. It's just that it brings up a lot of anxiety for other people,
Right. Well,
which I don't.
everybody know that Ashoka is okay. She's the
Yes.
goddess of non-suffering.
Yeah, baby.
Well, thank you for joining with me, and look forward to other videos on total health with Dr. Cheryl.
Thank you, Dr. Cheryl. It was wonderful.
Thanks for being on.